Hello guys. So what I'll be doing today is adding metrics support using Prometheus. So I was reading about Prometheus. I have different options, like I can use different registries to register the metrics, but for now I'm thinking of just using a default registry. So the task would be simple. Later on, uh, after I publish this package once in version 1, I'll work on it more and more, like adding new metrics routes, adding other HTTP methods and all that. So without going without renting much, let me start. So I'll create a file which will be metrics.go. Oh, sorry, should rename it metrics.go, and I should delete it here. Now the package will be metrics package, and what I'll do is I'll define some variables. Uh, they will be like used for handling the Prometheus part. Uh, Let me write the variables, then you will understand. And while I write the variables, I'll give a brief intro to what I am writing. First, let me turn off my AI. Yep, let's go. So what I'll do is I'll write metrics for firstly jobs and queue total. I'll just write some simple metrics for now. So this will be like a matrix that will tell us how many jobs have been enqueued till now. So we can say that it will be always be increasing. So Prometheus gives us a structure which is like which is known as counter. So counter is a structure which stores a value which is going to be always increasing, like our total enqueued jobs or the total processed jobs. Over time they will always be increasing, they will never decrease or reset to zero. So I'll use this, so it will be something like, oh, I need to install Prometheus. So for that, let me clear. I'll go get, I'll need 3 packages mainly: github.com/Prometheus/ let me check the spelling, /client for our Golang. So I need the Golang client /Prometheus. So I'll need the main Prometheus package firstly, then I'll need a other package which is Prom-auto. So the work is not much different. From Prom-auto is just a subset of Prometheus. So what Prom-auto does is that it uses Prometheus in the background and just registers our structures with the default registry. There's an issue. Let's go again. Why isn't it getting it? Go get. What's the issue? Let me copy the command from somewhere. Give me a second. I should copy it from the browser. Let me check it. Go get Prometheus. Okay, these are the 3 commands I need. I have copied them in one go. Oh, why is there copied? Why is there a copy? I have to check it. Prometheus. Go get Prometheus. And why was there a copied written like that? Okay, I have to change it to normal. So what these commands do is it gets the Prometheus package the Promoter package, which is a subset of Prometheus, and a Prom HTTP package, which is also the subset of Prometheus. So what this means is the Prom auto, as I told you, will register the job and register the structure in default registry. The Prom HTTP is the handler which we will use to expose our matrix route. It will be used later, but for now I have installed it. So let me go mod vendor and let's use Prometheus. How should I use it? I should use it like from auto. Quick fix. Nope, I have to import it myself. Import. Let's import. Go. What was the name of the package? github.com /Prometheus /client golang / what was it? One I need this and the other I need is promoter from here. Client golang / Prometheus. And one thing I remember is that from auto. One thing I remembered is that it will not work like this until I write the vendor name here. So from auto, now it will work. But when I will write GoMod ID, it will remove the reference to our HTTP package. I think everything is looking good. What's the issue here? I have to do GoMod vendor once. And I think everything is done. As I guessed, the package for HTTP is not here, so I'll have to use it later. So no problems. Let's go. Let me just write it. What's the issue? Imported and not used. From auto dot. I need a new counter. Now the difference between new counter and new counter vec is that new counter will work without getting any labels. It means it will work on a single value. But with new counter vec, I can define labels. So labels are something that differentiate the storage in the time series DB in our Prometheus. I'll highly suggest you to, if you are not comfortable with Prometheus, so I'll highly suggest to go through the docs. They are always use suffix as total. It's suggested in the documentation. You can read the documentation and that will be self-explanatory. Let's go with help. So help is just the human readable form which will tell us what this matrix is all about. Total number of jobs and queue. Just that. And now coming to the labels, we can pass the labels. So it will be a string array. So what I'll pass in the labels is a queue, the name of the queue, and the type of the job, something like that. And I think I have miscalculated this. Yeah. So this is how I define. I'll define multiple metric system. So it will tell us. It will be used to tell us how many jobs has been enqueued till now. Whenever I'll restart the server, it will always return to 0. But for now, if the server is always learning, it can tell us how many jobs has been enqueued and all that. So let's go with job processed total. Now you might be wondering where I get these from. I have already decided when I was reading the documentations for which metrics I'll for which values I'll expose metrics, so that's why I can name this pretty fast, and name will be like GoTaskQ underscore will be job underscore processed total. As I told you, naming is majorly helpful in this scenario. So help will be like total number of jobs processed. Number of jobs processed. Now you might be wondering how will Prometheus know if the metrics have been updated or something like that. So for that, I'll expose some methods. I'll tell you once I write these. Let me write these variables for now. String, it will take a string. This will be a queue. I have defined these already in my reference, so that's why I'm not thinking much about them. It will take a type and the status, which will tell us the status at which the job has been processed, if it failed, if it succeeded, and all that. Okay, now the next thing we need to check is job duration. Second. So it will tell us how much time did the job take in second. So for this, I'll use a histogram. So histogram is a type of structure which tells us. So it will tell us about how our data is, how our metrics are distributed, like P50 at P99 at P50 at P20 scale, P10 scale, at that scales. So for now I'll use the default. So let me just write first, then I'll tell you what I mean by default. Okay, so it should be like GoTaskQ jobs duration and seconds. I wrote seconds in the end to specify what the matrix tells us. If it is about milliseconds, if it is about seconds and all that. For now I'm sticking to seconds. Later on I'll change it to milliseconds and all that based on our bucket size. So a bucket, the histogram distributes data based on bucket size. So buckets, default buckets are based on second delay. So after a second delay it will check, and fill the bucket based on that, and tell the response in our Prometheus matrix endpoint. Again, I'll highly suggest checking out the Prometheus docs. It's not that difficult. It only exposes mostly two I have told you, a gauge and a summary. 4 to 5 major methods. Rest are different things we can explore as always with different tools, but for development purposes, for a small scale, 4 methods are enough. 4 structures are enough. Queue, it will take a queue and a type. So it will tell us which job type from which queue took how much time. So the next thing I'll do is I'll have metrics for active workers. It will tell us how many workers are currently active. It can be modified using our what I called it, environment variables. So I'll use no gauge. So gauge is a type of structure which can increase or decrease itself. It's simply normal counter which can increase or decrease. A counter can only increase, gauge can increase or decrease based on something. So I'll use new gauge because I don't need any labels for that, because workers are always in global scope. They don't have a scope with queue and all that, so they are in global scope. So I'll have active workers in a global scope, and I don't need vec for this one. So let me name this GoTaskQ underscore active workers, and help will be like current number of active workers. This is just basic stuff for now. Later on, if I try to increase the scope of this project, I'll change all this. But for version 1, as I have told you, I have launched version 1 beta with the Redis and version 1 alpha with the in-memory queue. So for version 1 complete, I'll just stick to simple metrics, but later on I'll switch to more complex metrics using different registries and more complex structures and all that. So for now, let's just define different metrics. So queue depth will tell us the depth of the queue. It means how many jobs are there in the queue at the current time. So it will be a gauge. So let me just write it. New gauge. This time I will use vec because in this part I'll have to use as you say the different queues, because there will be different queues. So I'll name it GoTaskQ underscore Q depth, something like that, and the help will be like current queue depth. You will see why help is important once I show you the metrics itself working. Strings. So it will be a string array which will take a queue, nothing else, and it will tell us. So the labels will differentiate based on queue. Different queues will get different labels. Inside the time series DB, so Prometheus uses time series DB. So for each label, if I have 1000 labels, there will be 1000 different entries, and for that it will be a big task. So later I'll have to cut this down, like I'm using here queue and type. The type can be of multiple types, but now currently we are only supporting the logger type, so it's no big deal. So that's why I'm using this simple task. So let's go with the next try. Jobs retried. I'll use a retried total. So it will tell us the number of jobs we have retried till now. Promoter for registering in I think new vec. I'll need a vec. Promoter for registering to default registry, same as our queue system we have made, which can have multiple registries, but sticks to default registry. So promoter gives us that part. It sticks to current registry. So let's give it a name. It will be GoTaskQ, which is the name of the project. Jobs. What next will be our retried total. Naming depends a lot. Again, telling you, if you ever going to work with metrics, just remember naming matters a lot. And in the promoter, there's one one issue. If two metrics with the same name arise, it will panic. That's why we use registry in Prometheus to have different metrics in different registries. But for now, we need a simple functions. So I'm just writing them here. Total of number of jobs retried. That's all. And next thing I need is just give me a second. I need to check one thing. Next thing I need is wait. Am I live or not? That's the question I have. I have to check am I live or not. I don't know if I'm live or not. Yeah, I'm live. I couldn't see my live stream from a mobile, that's why I was checking. Okay. So next thing I need to do is firstly I have to remove this from where it came and just this part and all these things. Okay, next thing I need is labels. So labels will be again a string array, string slice as you say in Go. I'm still stuck at array as I use them everywhere. So it will be using a queue and the type of job from which queue got retried. And lastly, number of dead jobs. So jobs dead total equals to again same thing Prometheus promoto dot new counter vec Prometheus dot counter options which will be name and the name will be GoTaskQ. Instead of writing every time, I could have used the namespace, but now it's no problem. I have written a log. Dead total, something like that. So it will tell us how many jobs have been dead. Total number of dead little jobs. Number of dead little jobs, something like that. Okay, now the label, again the label will be and it will be Q and a type. Based on the label, it will be Q and a type. You will see labels in action once I visualize, once I give you the idea how metrics behave, something like that. So for now, I'll write a helper function. This is a great way to normalize labels before adding them into the matrix. So it will take a value which will be a string. You will see what I'm doing, and it will spit out a string. So what it does is it will normalize the labels. By normalizing the label, I mean it will take a label, trim the spaces around it, and convert it into a lowercase letter, so that if I write email and email, they will not be same if I don't normalize. So I have to normalize so that they both are considered as email, something like that. Okay, so let me just generate a label equals to none. So what I'll do is use strings dot trim spaces. Trim space. I need trim space. Okay, so the string will be a val, and after that we also need to convert it to lowercase. So just I'll use this inside the function. strings dot lower to lower. So it will be our value, the value we got. Okay, if label equals to empty, we will use label as unknown, so that this shouldn't the label empty label shouldn't crash the metric system. So that's why I've written this, and I'll return label. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll write functions that I'll expose to increase decrease the label values and set the label matrix values. Now you will understand why I wrote the variables like that. So first function I'll write is a function to increase the enqueued jobs. So func increase jobs enqueued. I'll use this function inside our queue where the jobs have been enqueued. So it will take a queue name, a string, queue name, and a job type, which will both be string. So I've used short syntax. Okay. So what it will do is it will take jobs enqueued total dot. So now I have multiple methods. I can increase like this, but for that I have to provide values with label values. So I'm providing the label values. What will be my label values? That will be normalized label, and the label will be our first label will be our queue name, and the second label will be our job type. Job type. Okay, as you can see here, it takes a queue and a type. So I have provided a queue name and a job type. Now what I will do is I have multiple functions I can add, collect, ascend, and all that. I'll use increase. So I'll increase the value by 1 whenever this function gets called. Next thing I need is function for increasing job processed. It will take a queue name, a type, and a status. So they will all be string. I can copy this from here and paste it here and have a job type and a status, which will all be strings. Okay. So what I'll do is again I'll take job processed total. There's some naming issue. I should stick to one naming. I should use jobs or job based on the function. So it should be job duration second because it works on one job. It works on multiple jobs, and inside this I should also check here job duration second. Should I use job? Yeah, I should use job instead of jobs. Okay. Jobs processed total dot with the value, with the label values. The label will be our first label, which is our normalized label. What is our first variable label? Queue name. Normalized label. Our second label will be our job type, and our third label will be our status. That's all we need. Dot increase again. It will increase by 1, just like we did before. Now we have a function which needs to observe the duration of job. So what I'll do is I'll write a helper function for that. One observe job duration, something like that. Job duration, what it will do is it will use labels. Let me check the labels. Q and a type. The label will be our Q name. This will control D, I think. Yeah. Job type and Q name. Anything more does it need? Not in the labels, but it needs a duration to fulfill. Duration, which will be type of time dot duration. So what I'll do is I'll take the duration and set its value here. Let me just write the function, then you can understand how I do this. Again with label values, I'll use the label values as normalize label. First label is a Q name and second label is a normalized label, the job type. Okay, next thing we need is dot observe as it suggested. So it will observe the difference. So it will tell us the observe means it will take a duration, which will be duration dot seconds. Okay. Okay, next thing we need to do is let me check. It is for active workers and it's a bot, so it will increase and decrease. So I'll write one increase increase active workers. All right, and then I'll do something like active workers dot increase, because it doesn't have any label, so I get a function like this. One decrease active workers, and it will be like active workers dot decrease, increase and decrease. That's all. Next function I need is to check for what I need to check, Q depth. Yep. So I'll write a function to set the Q depth. Because Q depth can be a variable, I'll set it without increasing or decreasing like that. Q name, I think I have the Q name, and it will be string. Instead of job type, it will take it only takes Q name, but I need to take an integer, which will be your depth. So what I'll do is Q depth. Sorry, what was the name of this? Yeah, Q depth dot with label values, it only takes one bit label, which is our Q name dot set. So I'll set the value to the value of depth. That's all we need. Next thing we need is two things: increase the retried jobs and the jet jobs. So they will likely execute it. I can just use this function and function signature and just paste it, and increase jobs include. Instead of increase jobs include, I can use increase jobs retried, and it will be like this. I think I can also take this to jobs retried total dot with label values, and again we are normalizing the labels and it's giving the value. It will take the job type and thus, and lastly we will need to close, and I can copy this down to for our dead jobs, increase jobs dead, and here I'll just change job that total. And all the functions are have been exposed for our metrics to be set or increased or decreased. So let me just write their implementation and then expose the API, and we will be done with the metrics. So Prometheus makes metrics telling easy. So what I'll need first is uh, jobs and queue total. So it will be done in our queue, both in our memory queue and in our Redis queue. So whenever jobs get enqueued, what I'll do is um, let's go. What I'll do is instead I'll whenever a new memory queue is created. Firstly, whenever a new memory queue is created, I have to set the queue depth matrix. I'll use a matrix package. Yep, not this matrix package. I need getter dot count slash slash GoTaskQ slash internal slash matrix. Okay, now I can use matrix here. Matrix dot. I have the option to set queue depth. So now you will understand why I use those functions. So it will take a queue name, which will be our mem queue dot name, and depth. Depth will be currently 0 because there is just new memory queue. Then when we enqueue, so just after pushing the job to the heap, what I'll do is enqueue the job. So matrix dot increase jobs enqueued. It will take a queue name, memqueue dot name, and job type. The job type will be our job dot type. That's all we need. And since job get enqueued, I also need to update the depth of the queue. Set queue depth, which will be our queue name will be our what will be our queue name? Memqueue dot name, and the depth will be our length of memqueue dot length, something like that. Not that memqueue dot job h dot length, because we need the queue depth for the current job. So job h, as you can remember, is a heap which stores the number of the jobs currently in the queue. So we need to that instead of the queue length, which is also what this does, but instead of calling a function, I can just write it simply here. Next, dequeue doesn't concern with any metrics, but length concerns with the metrics. So I'll do is I'll add something like a variable depth equals to memqueue dot job h dot length, and I'll return depth instead of that explicitly written, and matrix will be set like matrix dot set depth queue dot memqueue dot name, and our depth will be our depth from above. That's all we need from the memory part. Next thing we need to do is have the to set the Redis key. Set the things in Redis key, sorry. So firstly, starting with the new queue. Whenever a new Redis queue is created, what I'll do is instead of returning here, I can store this into a variable queue equals to this, and instead of nil, I'll use this. I'll return queue and a nil value, and now I can set the matrix here. Matrix dot increase jobs and queue. Sorry, set queue depth here. We need to set the queue depth to our queue name and the value to 0. Queue name is the name which we get after trimming all the spaces and all that. Now coming to enqueue, what I'll do is in the enqueue function I need to set the include jobs, but before that I'm thinking let's write the implementation for our length. So what I'll do in length is again I'll have something like this. I'll remove the return. What I'll do is define a variable depth equals to int casting of count, and then I'll return depth, and here I'll set the matrix dot set queue depth. So it will take the queue name, which will be our Redis-backed dot name, comma our depth, which is just calculated above, and that's all. So what I'll do in enqueue, I'll use this function instead of again writing all the implementation. So here, after everything succeeds, I'll have a matrix dot increase jobs and queue, which will have a queue name, which will again be our. Here I think I have a queue name or not. No, I don't have a queue name, so I will again have to use Redis dot queue name. So let me use that Redis queue dot name, and job type will be our job j dot type, and lastly we don't need the value from our Redis queue dot our length. We don't need the value, but it will be used to set the metrics upfront. So when we reach this part, it will jump to here, run this, set the queue depth, and return the depth, which we don't consider. So it will just be used to set the metrics. Next thing is our dead letter queue. We need to also have metrics in our dead letter queue. So again, I'll just copy paste it down and have metrics here. Okay, I have metrics here. What I'll do is whenever a job gets saved into our dead letter queue, there's the list dead jobs and play dead jobs. Here, there's the save part. I'm writing it at the wrong place. Sorry. I'm writing it in the handlers. That's why I was not able to see. Sorry. Let's see. I'll have metrics here. Whenever we save a job to our DLQ, I'll increase the matrix. So I'll add a matrix dot increase job stat. The queue name will be our the queue name here will be our, what is our queue name? It should be our Redis. That's the issue. We have to think about this one. Let's define a label first, because the DLQ will be only one queue, so I'll define a label here. But later on, if we have multiple DLQs, that's why I have chosen the matrix here. But for now, default DLQ level equals to DLQ, something like that. And I'll use that into here, default DLQ label, and job type will be j.type. That's all we need here, and I think the part here is done. DLQ is handled. Now next thing we need to do is check for the retry engine. The retry engine, whenever we retry, we should increase the counter of the retry jobs. So what I'll do is I'll have I think I have here. Whenever a job is going to retry, it calls this, it should retry. So what I'll do is I'll add matrix dot increase. Sorry, matrix does not why does it always, let's see, maybe I should use matrix here. So matrix dot I'll use increase jobs retried. The queue name will be our engine dot queue name, if I or does it pass any queue name? Let me check. Okay. For simplicity purposes, let's do something like if engine dot queue dot queue is not equal to nil, then only we will have the queue name. And if it is not, then what I'll do is queue name. If it is not, I'll have a queue name defaulted to unknown. And I'll make it a string. Queue name equals to engine.queue.name. If the queue name is it means if engine.queue is not equal to nil, it means the queue is not nil, there is no error in the queue, something like that. Then I'll take its name, or I'll use unknown. Declared and not used. Matrix queue name, and second thing I'll pass is job, which will be j.type. I think this will work fine. Anything more I need? Handle that job. That job is handled with DLQ and all that. So I don't think I need to change anything else other than this. Next and last thing we need to update is our worker pool. So in worker pool, I have two methods. One is for running the worker. So inside running the worker, I'll have since it does differ WG done, it means it's decreasing the value of the weight group of workers. So first thing I'll do is matrix dot increase. Again, I think the matrix issue is there. I should just copy and paste matrix. So I need this matrix dot increase active workers. Whenever a worker gets run, I'll increase the active workers count, and whenever a worker finishes, I'll decrease it. So defer matrix dot decrease active workers. So what will happen? First the unsubscribe will be called. As you know, it works like a stack. So first it will be called, then it will be called, and lastly the weight group will be decreased, as you know. And next thing I need is to check for our processing job. Whenever job get processed, we have to check our queue name and all that. Again, going for the same pattern, queue name equals to unknown. If pool dot queue is not equal to nil, what I'll do is I'll queue name equals to pool dot queue dot name. Same thing I did with their undefined queue name. Oh, I never used that. Same with the job type, but because it's processing a job, it can be empty, so I'll use job type as unknown. I don't want to take any plastic measures, but simple things like that. If j dot type or we can say j is not equal to nil. I'll check for if job is not equal to nil. And I'll remove this part. Go to nil. If j is not equal to nil, I'll do is also I think I shouldn't remove that part. Let me think. J is not equals to nil. What I'll do is job type equals to j dot type. Okay. Now the processing will also process the time a job takes. So what I'll do is define start of the duration, which will be start equals to time dot now, and on the start I'll just have a status flag which will be failed. It will only get converted to done once the job finishes, unless I'll always say that the job failed. So then lastly the both of the metrics will be calculated once the job get finished. So I'll write a defer function, and here I need a form. Defer a function which will be metric dot firstly it will observe the job duration, how much time the job take. So I'll use queue name here and job type here, and the duration will be time dot since, if I remember, time dot since the time start. So that will be done like that, and next thing I need to do is metrics dot where's the increase jobs processed. Yep, we'll take a queue name, a job type, and lastly a status, which I initially set to failed, but if the job succeed, I'll convert the status to as you say done. So what I'll do at the end of the function, when the status in our job struct is set to done, I'll also set the variable to done. So it will just follow if the job failed or if the job completed. Based on that, it will create labels. And I think everything has been done regarding metrics internal working. Now I just need to um, expose a method. Regarding last stream, I didn't write these in the last stream. Off stream, I wrote this /dlq/id and all that. It's easy to understand if I think. So I'll use a handle function, which will take a pattern, which will be a /matrix, and here you will see the work of our, as we say, what we say is the handler. So I'll need to get that handler. Go get this one. I need to get the last one, which is our HTTP method handler. So it will expose a handler, which I can use directly. So it got the handler, and yep, I think there will be some changes. Let's have github.com. I can copy it from here. Should see. Okay. So I did forgot to do the vendor thing. I think I need to go get it once more and go mod vendor once more. Now it's imported and not used. So what I'll do is from http.handler. So the handler function here will check for default registry. Will check all the metrics in the default registry. I can have different functions like handler for, which would be for different registry, but currently we are only working with default registry. So I think everything is done regarding this matrix addition. So first thing I need to do is build. Let's see. Before doing anything, do fmt. So I think go build. Let's build our -o, which will be our GoTaskQ from. I think I've written this script somewhere. Should we go build? Yep, this one. I need to build this into GoTaskQ using this as the main entry point, and the build completed successfully. Let's run the build and let me show you how our matrix look like. From here I can't understand if it is running in Redis mode or if it is running in memory mode. Let me just do one thing. Instead of writing here, I can log dot print ln. I'll print a line which is using Redis backend. Based backend. Okay, and here I'll use log dot print line, which will be using in memory backend. Now I can quickly check which one is being used. So it's using in memory backend. Why is that the issue? Because I never loaded the environment variables into my terminal session. So let me clear this and load the environment variables. For that I'll use set a, what was that? What was the command? Set a, yeah, this one. Set a. So I'll auto fetch from source.env, and then remove the auto fetch. It's just simple. So it will inject the environment variables into my current session. Now when I run, it will use Redis-based backend. Before going further, let me just do one thing. I think it's okay. I think it's okay. Let's just do some things. Firstly, let me show you how our how our matrix endpoint will look. Let me show the browser to you. I hope you can see the browser. I don't use Chrome that much, but I use Brave. I'm showing the output in Chrome because I don't want to leak my credentials or something like that. So the host 8000/matrix. So this is how Prometheus shows metrics. These metrics are from the Go runtime, so we should ignore them for now. But this can be helpful if we are working in a Go environment. But regarding our metrics, I need the metrics for GoTaskQ. Yep, I can see them here. Here, as you can see them, from here onward, we have the metrics for our GoTaskQ. As you can see, GoTaskQ active workers is 10. GoTaskQ queue depth is 0 currently, and queue name is default. Process, as you can see, there are no other metrics here. That's the case because metrics are loaded only when they are firstly engaged. So for engaging the metrics, let me just write a small job. Let's give you an idea of how it will work. I'll curl a job which will like, firstly we'll check for job logger. So it is a logger job. What it will do is it will log the output. As I remember from my previous session, to show you, I accidentally wrote it time 30 seconds. I should wrote it to 1 second, so it will take 1 second, but actually it should be only milliseconds. So it should probably write at 500 time.ms millisecond. So it will work in 500 milliseconds. Let me build everything once more. Here's the go build, and then running it. It is using the Redis-based backend. Now the logger will take. So this will almost instantly work because its priority is 5 and max retry is 3. And I think we can see the status here. As you can see, what's the issue? Started the server. Service and blocking. Say failed to process job, failed to mark job as running, update job status, error, attempt to modify read-only table. This is an issue. I have to debug. So it's trying to write a read-only table in Redis. What's the issue here? Let's check the metrics also. So as you can see, the metrics changed. Current number of workers is still 10. Duration of the jobs, processing in second. So processing in second, logger firstly took 1 second. 1 and all that. And logger, total number of jobs enqueued 1. Total number of jobs processed 1. Also one thing more, we can use UI, Prometheus UI or Grafana to create dashboards from this data. But for now, I'm just interested in these things. Like queue default status failed. So status failed. The logger job failed. Why did the logger job fail? The logger job failed because worker 7 said the failed to process the job, failed to mark job. This which traces back to status in Redis failed, which traces back to something like running update job status in Redis failed. Okay, where is it written? Let's see. a major bug, I think a major or a minor. That will depend on. Let's see where it's written. Update job status in Redis field. Update job status. So it will be something like this. Yep, it will be here. Update status. Let's see how the update status has been written in our Redis-backed. Where's our Redis-backed? Update, get, delete, update status. So whenever validate the context, update job status in Redis failed. How does this error happens? If the eval text update status Lua. So here there is an error. Why is there an error? User script 13. So in our script 13, attempt to modify a read-only table. In our 13th line of the user script, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, here. There's an issue. Attempt to modify a read-only script, table script. What does it mean? Let's Google the error. Oof. Something like this. Let's Google the error. I can show you my debugging process while I'm Googling. Let's Google this in Redis. What is retry? Since last Redis is great. Stack Overflow. Let's see. Error. Attempt to modify a read-only script table. Okay. Try adding local in front of function next time. Here's my function. It's a local function if I don't see that. Const update Lua script const. So he's using a function here. But I am not using any function in my Lua script. There is issue in my Lua script that I have pinpointed. So what can be the issue? I also have to check my Redis status. If it's running or not, let me check my Redis status first. But it returned an error. It means it's running, so it's not the issue. What can be the issue? Let's ask GPT or our inbuilt AI. Okay, so I'll give it the full context of what is happening currently. Above is when I wait a second. Hospital resident happened when I tried to create a new when I tried to process a job in my job. The error is coming from Redis regarding the Lua script. Check my script and tell me what is wrong. What is wrong? Let me give it the reference of the script. It will be like first update to a script this and where's the add selection to chat. Okay. Till then I should also see if from equals to pending, then valid equals to if is running. else if running, then the valid equals to done or failed. If failed, then valid equals to. The problem is earlier script is you assign to valid without declaring it as local. So in Redis Lua, especially newer Redis with strict script environment, globals are protected read only the line pattern. So I should define a Lua valid, local valid first. That's the issue. That's why the Stack Overflow was saying use okay local valid false. So I have defined a local variable valid which will be returned and yeah. Now I think everything should work. Let's see. Go build again and go task queue. Let's see my metrics. Let's refresh those metrics again. Here we can see queue left is 0 and active workers is 10. Let's go for this one. And the job started. Job ID was this. Type was logger. Status running and job completed. Now the metric should have been updated. It will tell us 0.05005 second and all that. So these are the buckets which the histogram use. If I'm saying really, I don't understand histogram that much clearly, but I'll learn about this after the stream. But regarding other, our GoTaskQ active workers are 10, which is okay because the number workers were 10. Then the histogram here. Then we'll be having the job duration in seconds, which will be 0.501. It means 500 milliseconds. And next our second count. So it will tell us how many values are there in our second count. That's one. Next is our, here you can see help. Help tells us what the function does, what the matrix tells us, total number of jobs enqueued. That's one. So let's increase this a bit. Let's spam some jobs and spam a job with some delay. As you remember, we can send the jobs with delay, so they can run after some time. So delay should be like 5 seconds and spam some jobs with 5-second delay. Let's see what changes in the metrics. Here also we can see our processes are running. Everything is working fine for now because the logger is a real function, and we can see the job task job duration second sum, which is 5.509 for 11. I can create the average and show it in a dashboard, and it will probably come out to be around 0.5 because it's 5.5. So it's working fine. Our job is not taking much time. I can reduce from that. Next thing we need to check is our enqueued jobs, which was 11, and current job queue depth. Queue depth is 5. Let's refresh it. So queue depth is still 5. Go task queue. Did I do something wrong by writing? What did I write? Delay was 5. Go task queue depth should be 0 by now, but it's still showing 5. Why is that the case? That should be 0. Current queue depth should have been 0. I think after DQ I should decrease the queue depth, but I can't decrease the queue depth. Can I decrease? Yeah, I can decrease the queue depth. I have function for that if I remember correctly. Let me see. set queue depth. I have set queue depth. I should set the queue depth to 0. But how is that possible? Set queue depth. Should I do something like that? I'll think through this once later, but for now our metrics are working. I'll polish these metrics once, know about histogram more, and then I'll move forward. Jobs processed total. So we can reduce that total and queued jobs was 11, and now the jobs processed count is also 11. For a 5-second delay, I can just show you job processed at 12, but processed and queued is 1. So it will always okay. Current queue depth will only. I have to work on this. Somehow create a function that will check the current queue. After D2, can I check the current queue depth? I should do it currently. I should wear some DQ before returning anything. Queue is empty, no jobs. The length of parts will be returned queue empty before returning the output. What I'll do is here again equals to matrix dot instead of matrix I'll use the Redis-backed dot length functionality here. Yeah, this will work. And same in the memory part. I think this will work. Let me just do one thing. After popping from the heap, I should include matrix somewhere here. Matrix dot instead of matrix dot, I should call for the length, which will be memq dot length, which is a function we don't care about value, so we'll write it like this. And also here I should have this too, and that is enough. I think. Let's build it again, check it again with the same thing we did. So I built, I ran, and let's have 5 jobs with 5-second delay. I think I have 6 jobs, I guess. Let's see where server. Oh, where did our metrics go? I should run this. Okay. I should. Okay, here's the metrics. GoTaskQ. Watching metrics like this is big problem. Like I can see, GoTaskQ queue depth is 0 currently. Let's increase the queue depth to like 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when I restart, the queue depth goes to 5. And queue job goes to 5, and after about 25 seconds, because each job takes 5 seconds on 5-second delay, so about 25 seconds we will have 5 jobs go on, and queue depth is 0, and process jobs is 5, and all are done. So now the metrics are working fine. Now the thing with the metrics is everything looks good to me. Let's have a dead job for something like ABC, which is not a handler we provide. So the delay, I should remove the delay, and it will tell us it is an unknown job. Firstly check. Yep, failed to process job. This no handler registered for the job type. 2 jobs will should come to retrying and the that phase. So let me check for GoTaskQ dead job total is equal to 2, and retried count. Where's the retried count? Yeah, here's the retried count. As you can see, it's 6 because each job took 3 retries, and it's also telling us default and type of job, so we can check from the matrix. what type of job failed when, how many times they were retried, all that from here. And I think I'm done with this. Before publishing version 1, I think I will polish this project tomorrow in a small stream where I will just, or I'm thinking, let me push this as a version 1. I have already pushed version 1 beta and version 1 alpha. This will be our version 1 with metrics. It will contain something like our, uh, so what I mean by that is, it will be half-baked version. Just all right for now. For version 1.1, what I'll do is I'll add more handlers. The support for adding handlers by the user itself and all those things. So it's going to be a long journey here. The project is complete by the standards I started it for, but not complete by the standards I'm aiming for. So let's just increase the scope of the project little by little. I think I should call it version 1. Version 1 is never perfect, but it's still something. So let's go with version 1. Before going with version 1, one thing I should tell you. Oh shit! If I remember correctly, yeah, that's correct. I was able to show you the metrics, but I think I was not able to show the debugging. So the debugging part was, if I can rewind this, the debugging part was this: adding the local to our where's the Redis? Not in the queue manager. I want it in the yes, Redis. Yes, it is. Okay, it's not here. Where was it? In the retry? Yeah, the retry. The retry. No, not in the retry. Where did I? Store. Yeah, in the store. Here I changed local. Here I introduced value to be local variable because in the newer version of Redis, the global variable output, global variable access is restricted. So we have to just write it local, and that's all. For going forward, I should write a small document like further improvements. .txt. Based on priority, I will write these. First, our priority is and our basic priority is introducing more HTTP points. HTTP routes. Second step will be our having the ability to add custom handlers, like the handler we just wrote, like the handler we have here, a job log handler. There should be ability to write multiple custom handlers, like user can write handlers on its own for different jobs. Third, our priority is adding UI to metrics. We can go with Grafana for dashboard or Prometheus UI. Okay, third priority is this. Any more priorities? Let me think about them. Anything more I need to add? Oh, making metrics code. production ready. So at current time it's just a toy code. So we need to have multiple registries for multiple jobs and all that. So for that too, and having ability to add mm, uh, should be like labels, should be like it should be like the ability to add I don't think so. I think this is all we need to do. Production ready. And ability to choose registry. You choose registry up to user. Okay, so what I'll do in version 2.0 will be like this. Firstly, I will add more HTTP routes, have the ability to add custom handlers, then I'll add the UI to Matrix, Grafana or Prometheus. I'll use Prometheus UI or Grafana. And making Matrix production ready, and ability to choose the registry of the user. So the user can choose a registry he wants to save the matrix to and visualize them using Grafana. I think this is good for our version 2 roadmap. Let's go. I think this is okay for our version 2, or I can say version 1.x. 1.x.0. It should be for version 1.1.0. For now, since we are not changing any APIs and all that, we are just adding it. I should name it version 2 or version 1.0. That I'll decide later. But for now, this is the thing we need to add for our next major version. These are all the things. And the project for the GoTaskQ has been complete. If you watched along, I think you could make the project yourself. It's not much difficult, but it's entertaining and a lot of knowledge can be gained from it. Thanks for sticking out. Okay, bye.